Dote.
Welcome to the video tutorial about how to use the editor. And this is a basic introduction. There is a more advanced video as well. And as you can see here, this is the complete UI or user interface for Dote. What we're interested in is on the right hand side is the editor panel. We're going to be focusing on that, and you can remove the other side or fold it down by using these two chevron icons here. If you click on the one on the right, you can go into a sort of Zen mode and just work on your transcript. The video will still be connected and played through sync codes, for example, but here you can just focus on working on the transcript. We're just going to go back to the main interface. You can use this one here if you just want to see the videos only and the waveforms in more detail. So we'll just stay with this, but that gives you some flexibility about how, and you can also drag your this to make more room if you need to. So on the editor here we have the Lego demo transcript. What we're going to do is just look at some of the basic features of how to use the editor. Let's just make some room here. We'll just make some room here so we can just mess about in this part here. Now you see already, as we've entered in these particular speakers and their speaker IDs, we have R1 and then P1, P2, P3. Then they have turned into green. There's also other colors, and this is a syntax highlighting for your transcript that highlights pauses and overlaps, as well as comments, and also technical comments, as you'll see here, which you see in the more advanced video. Now that means if we, for example, say R1 is about to speak, it's going to suggest R1, and then if I choose, say, yeah, I want R1, and I can choose any of these, it's going to fill out not only R1, but also R1 and a translation subtier. And you can see more about that in the subtier video tutorial. So how do we get that to happen? Because now if I go down to here and I say, let's say we have a new speaker, P6, you can see it doesn't recognize P6. Because P6 has not been used yet. But if I say P6, and then what you must always use is a colon after the speaker ID or participant ID, and then a tab, and then you can start typing what they say. For example, this is what they say here, and this is what they say P6 says afterwards. So I'll always use a speaker ID consistently, and a colon and a tab, even if you've got a subtier type here, like a translation subtier type. That means next time when we say I want a P speaker, it's going to suggest P6 down here, as well as P1, P2, P3. So this time when I say P6, I get both the speaker and the subtier. That's because if you go in transcript options, you'll see I have added ENG as a translation subtier that will be automatically added for any new speaker. You can also do gloss subtiers as well. So I won't say anything more about that. That's to do with subtiers and subtier types. Go and see the video about that. The main thing here is that you can have a nice autocomplete anytime, any speaker that you have had already. So when you start a new transcript, it won't work until you've added your speakers or participants and their IDs, and then it will promote all of those and build that for every new transcript. So it's something that's done live as your transcript emerges. If you also change the name, then it will also change that as well, because it's building these live every single time you make a change. So this is very much a live transcript. It's parsing this transcript all the time. Every character you press will reparse the whole transcript. So it's usually very fast and very powerful, and doesn't usually get into problems with any errors because it doesn't quite know what you've been doing. Every single character will make a change. Alright, so this makes a plain text file which is stored on your computer, and that plain text file you can actually inspect it yourself and see what's in that. But there's lots of other information stored in other files that are hidden that tell how to format this and how to format the videos and sync codes and video cues. But the basic text of a transcript is plain text. So that's autocomplete done for the basic way of autocompletion works. Then we could look at underlining. For example, it might be that we want to stress something here, So if I select this part here and I say Control U, I get the underlining. Control U again will remove it, so I can add and remove underlining. So I'll just leave it like that. That's pretty standard, Control U. What we can also do is cut, copy, paste. So if I choose this, for example, and I say Control X, I've cut it. If I want to move it to, say, another line here, then I can move it there, and I can, of course, repeat it because it's in the clipboard. But I can also copy. So let's say I want to select this and I want to copy that because I want to add it here. Then I can copy, paste. So the standard Control X, Control C, Control V does the standard operations you'd find in any word processor. You can also undo. So if you say Control Z, for example, then you can see we can go back and undo all those changes, and then Control Y will redo those changes. So those are just infinitely undoable. But the problem is underlinings will not be undoable, and also sync codes and video cues will not be undoable. So it's only the plain text of your transcript that you can undo and redo particular changes you've made. Then we've got a simple find and replace. So for example, we could say find. We might want to find, say, all examples of go here. And if I say find, there we are. Immediately go is inserted into the box here. It says there's 30 examples, of which 3 are showing. Then you can find every example of go. It might be that it's also those 3 examples, I think, are also that they are unique go, as in words, but not other forms or with capitalization or as part of a word. And then if you want to do replace, you can click this and see replace, or you can click the replace button, or you can say Control R, and then you might want to replace it with something. Maybe it's going you want instead. And then what you can do is go through one by one here, replace, or replace all the way through the transcript. And you can move between them, moving down just to have a look at them anyway. You can see, oh, it was the third one, sorry, the third one we were at. So this is the first one, second one, third one. There is also other things to do with the scroll bar, the mini-map here, but we'll deal with that in the more advanced tutorial. So that's very simple, find and replace, to find anything. And there is a special video about using the more advanced features of find and replace, for example, regular expressions, which makes it very powerful. So if you want to know more, I would suggest you look at the errors and warnings video, because, for example, down here, it could be that we want to say that there's an overlap. So I can start, and you can see there's an error here. It's in red. That's to do with the icons up here around errors and warnings, because this one has an isolated overlap line, you can see, and so please take a look at that to see how errors and warnings work. Also, we haven't had any sync codes here. Well, we have sync codes here so we can jump around in the video. You can see we're jumping around in the video over here, but we haven't added them for these. So if you want to add on a particular line, then you need to look at the video on sync codes to see how to do that. And it's very good to do that as your transcript is emerging, to add sync codes frequently so that you can jump back to any particular point. Okay, so that's what we recommend. Please look at the advanced tutorial as well, and you'll get a better idea how to use the really advanced features in the editor. It's a very powerful editor, and there's things that you're not familiar with from a word processor. So please take a look at that.